Republican presidential candidate Will Hurd joins us now from the debate spin room in Miami. He is speaking to us, full disclosure, as a surrogate for Nikki Haley's 2024 presidential campaign. Will Hurd, good to see you. I'm sure you believe Nikki Haley won. Let's skip that part, or at least tell us the part where you think you can explain why she won.
Yeah, I think she won because she showed, from whether it was the issue of domestic policy, foreign policy, or abortion, she showed real leadership. This is why she is proving that she's the only alternative to Donald Trump. This race is coming down to a man and a woman. And you're seeing what is happening in New Hampshire and in Iowa, what Nikki Haley is being able to do. She also showed a grasp of the serious issues that we're facing as a country. She recognizes that we have multiple domains in which to fight the Chinese and potentially the Russians and all of our adversaries. And I think this is why America saw what a Republican president, the next Republican president, can look like, because of her grasp of the issues.
Will, you know the knock that other campaigns say about Nikki Haley? She's the perceived moderate. A moderate will never win the Republican nomination as the party is currently constructed. Your reply to that?
Well, my reply to that is that's pretty crazy. You know, Nikki Haley is America's choice. When you look at a guy like Vivek, he's TikTok's choice. When you look at someone like Ron DeSantis, he's more interested in being a image of Donald Trump than following his own advice. And so that's the reality. Nikki Haley is tough. She's smart. She's smooth. She has a great understanding of the issues. And this notion that she is a moderate. She was the governor in a very conservative state. She's proven her conservative credentials, but she's also someone who can talk to the American people. The fact that she had a grasp of issues that every day voters are dealing with is a sign of respect. She's also the only person that understands the impact of serving overseas and serving, or having someone serve in the military, because her husband is away right now. So this notion that she's a the fact that everybody on this stage attacked her is a sign that this momentum is real, and she has a chance, and she's the person that's best to beat Joe Biden. Everybody's been talking about this poll from New York, the New York Times poll, but guess what? The thing everybody's forgetting to talk about is that Nikki Haley was beating Joe Biden by a bigger margin than any of the other Republican candidates. That's why we have a choice, and this is why I want to start seeing some of these other candidates get behind Nikki Haley now, so that we can have wins in November and not see what happened last night happen in 2024.
Will Hurd, there is a perspective that without former President Trump on stage, it simply isn't the kind of debate it otherwise would be. How frustrated are you as a Haley surrogate that she doesn't have the opportunity to take whatever her message is directly against former President Trump on a debate stage? And in that regard, it sounds like from Chris LaCivita, the former president's campaign manager, he's not going to be at the fourth debate. Does that continue to deprive Nikki Haley of what she needs most, which is a direct confrontation?
Well, it deprives the country, right? Donald Trump is afraid to show up and talk about his record. He's afraid to show up and talk about his baggage. He's afraid to show up and have to handle folks talking and forcing him to talk about his issues. He wants to talk about all the great things he did when he was president, but a lot of those things were created by other people that are no longer in the government. So yes, it would be a great contrast for the American people to see, leaders of old, and having someone, a leader of the next generation, like Ambassador Haley. The fact that Nikki Haley has agreed with Donald Trump on some things, but she's also not been afraid to disagree with him. She disagreed with him on China. Xi Jinping is not someone to cozy up to. She disagrees with him on Ukraine and recognizes that defending Ukraine is good for the U.S. national interest. She disagrees agrees with him on his criticism of Israel and what's happening right now. So she's proven that she's willing to do that, and she's proven her conservative credentials, and she's proven that she's willing to have serious conversations and has a grasp of these issues that are going to impact every single American over the next couple of years.
Former Texas Congressman, one-time presidential candidate, and now Nikki Haley surrogate Will Hurd. Thank you so much for your time.